Good afternoon. I'm really thrilled to be here with this group, and I commend the White House and all the agencies involved in this effort, and all of you for sharing your time, interests, and ideas with us as we chart this exciting course together. I welcome you on behalf of Secretary Buttigieg. He is deeply interested in this subject, not just how AI will impact the transportation sector, but how it will impact our society, and how we must harness the promise while mitigating any risks. 1 year ago today, we had the opportunity to explore the future of transportation with Dr. Prabhakar and the Office of Science and Technology Policy as we launched ARPA-I. That's the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Infrastructure, which is the newest ARPA, which was authorized in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. At that event, we borrowed from DARPA's notion that we want to keep our feet on the ground, but our head in the stars. We translated that for transportation to say, we want to keep our eyes on the road, but keep our dreams on the horizon. And I think about that particularly in the context of everything we're doing at DOT and across this administration to deliver on the president's bipartisan infrastructure law, which we know is a once-in-a-generation investment to rebuild this country's infrastructure and competitiveness. So our eyes are definitely on the road. Today, the administration is breaking ground on projects and cutting ribbons across the country to rebuild our roads, bridges, ports, tackling legacy pollution, expanding high-speed access to internet, and building out our clean energy economy for all Americans. So our eyes are certainly on the road. But we also must fix our imagination on the horizon, particularly at the promises and the challenges that future will bring. We know that those promises, particularly of increasingly digital transportation systems, enabling far more capabilities in planning and operations, and also the challenges that poses for cybersecurity. The promises of vehicle technology for safety, absolutely critical to our safety goals, and also the challenges of complacency, disruption, distraction that could lead us to possibly having one step forward, two steps back. We also have the promise of ubiquitous information, measurement, and automated response, and also the challenges of privacy. The promises of new modes of travel for people and goods, and also the complex operational challenges, even security challenges that this poses. The promise of AI, particularly to drastically extend human capabilities in all these respects, and the challenge that it could create or exacerbate divides across our communities. Today, we'll explore the responsibility to reshape a safer transportation system and the promise that AI may offer. At DOT, we have some exciting efforts underway that really create the initial foundations for this vision. Our intersection safety challenge will significantly increase the capabilities for AI-enabled sensor systems to reshape how intersections work. We have our Complete Streets AI initiative, particularly that explores how AI can help reshape a safer and more vibrant roadways. These efforts give us just a little bit of a taste of how AI is poised to really unlock game-changing opportunities in transportation. The vision you'll hear about today is a way that we can build a bridge to much broader opportunities facing the department, the administration, but also our local, state, and tribal government partners. All of them working to address our key priorities in transportation around safety, climate, equity, economic strength, and global competitiveness. So I'm really pleased now to introduce Ben Levine from DOT, who will share more about this vision. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Imagine if everyone had safer access to the places they want to go. It sounds simple, but I suspect that everyone in this room has experienced the challenges that our transportation system has related to roadway safety in one way or another. And the data backs that up. From 2020 to 2022, we had more than 40,000 annual roadway fatalities. That's one fatality on average every 13 minutes. As many people die in one day on our roadway network as could fit in a 737. And there's only one number of acceptable roadway fatalities, and that's 0, and we have significant work to get there. As we were contemplating what opportunities AI presents to transportation priorities, particularly to transportation safety, we centered in on a core aspect of our safety response, that we must be proactive, responding not just to crashes, but to underlying risks. For this AI aspiration, we seek to equip state, local, regional, and tribal transportation agencies with the tools and capabilities that they need to be as proactive as possible and respond to risks in their system in order to enable transportation safety projects at scale. On the left here is a depiction of an intersection. It's actually a pretty orderly intersection in this depiction, but it's a complex environment. It has lanes for vehicles, for buses, has bike lanes, traffic signals, sidewalks, crosswalks, and curb cuts. And as people moving throughout that system on different modes of transportation, whether it's cars, buses, bikes, pedestrians, people using wheelchairs. And of course, the context in which that infrastructure exists. Commercial activity, street-level commerce, and a park with kids playing. And for all the complexity and richness in our real-world transportation environment, if you were to look at the digital representation or the data that is typically available to a typical transportation agency on demand about an intersection, it would look more like this. Roadway center lines, average daily traffic volume, and location of fatal and non-fatal crashes. And a lot is lost between the complexity of the real world and the sparsity of our digital representation of it. It has all sorts of implications on the transportation field. If you're an urban planner looking to improve intersection safety in your community, it will be very hard to both prioritize projects at a network level, and also, once you do identify sites where you choose to have interventions, you'll have to go there and measure roadway width, you'll have to measure volumes of different travelers moving through that intersection before you even know the menus of options for safety improvements that are possible. This issue repeats itself in a range of other circumstances. If you're a transportation agency that serves rural communities, it can be very difficult to respond to crashes because they're low volume events on rural roadways that may not fully reflect the underlying risk of a particular roadway segment. So what would a better digital representation look like? Well, ideally we know where the roadway is, how many lanes there are, the width of the lanes. We know volumes on that roadway at different times of the day, different days of the week. We know where traffic signals are. We know where bike facilities are and the volumes of bikers and those using micromobility through that system. We know where sidewalks, crosswalks, curb cuts are and the accessibility of those facilities. And we know more granular information about safety than just crashes. We know locations of hard braking and near misses. And we know the context in which that infrastructure exists. Land use, future growth patterns, topography, and tree cover. And wouldn't it be great if we had all of this information for every roadway in every community in America? We are proposing the concept of a National Transportation Infrastructure Observatory, a geospatial database with information about infrastructure, its usage, and its context for the U.S. surface transportation system. Now, the good news is a lot of this information exists. The bad news, it is fragmented, proprietary, expensive, lacks standard formats, exists in some places, not others. And ultimately, we really think that AI can help us turn it into what it needs to be, which is nationally available, privacy protected, and standardized. Whether we're talking about using object classification, computer vision on aerial imagery to help fill the details in the roadways like bike lanes, crosswalks, and sidewalks, or better models about the movements through our system of vehicles, pedestrians, and bicyclists by leveraging aggregated anonymized data from vehicle flows, and privacy-protected information from street-level sensors or operational cameras, or even leveraging large language models to interpret and digitize even the most complicated of parking signs. Now, it's not easy. There's significant work that would be needed. There would be efforts to develop new data standards, to develop new data architecture to serve the data to the users, and significant R&D that would underlie that effort. And of course, privacy is paramount. It has to be baked in at the beginning, middle, and end. That means only using aggregated, anonymized data from vehicle or pedestrian flows. And it means leveraging technologies like edge computing that can ensure that the data we bring in from sensors or operational cameras can include information like car volumes or traffic counts or turning radiuses, but doesn't include personally identifiable information. Now, what kind of opportunity can this enable? The truth is that the transportation innovation ecosystem is sluggish, and it's sluggish in part because it's built on fragmented data. If you are a state DOT with the leading data or GIS team, the methods that you develop in your state will not be easily scalable elsewhere because they are built on proprietary data systems or data that simply doesn't exist or is in different formats in another jurisdiction. And if you're a transportation software or analytics company, you spend a lot of money generating and cleaning data, significantly driving up the cost and time to deliver analytics solutions to the market. We envision the opportunity to build nationally scalable applications on top of nationally standardized data through an application ecosystem in which practitioners and technologists from state and local agencies, from research institutions, from companies, entrepreneurs, and advocacy organizations can build approaches that affect communities around the country. Like an intersection safety toolkit that could give you site-specific recommendations for intersection safety improvements based on the underlying characteristics of an intersection, like the width of the roadway and the volume of the users through that intersection. Or the ability to identify all the roadway segments on rural roads in America that present risk by looking at where crashes occur, looking at correlating factors like curvature, speed, elevation, and visibility, and finding all the other places on a map where those conditions appear. And finally, we are investing hundreds of billions of dollars in transportation projects throughout the country through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, tens of billions of dollars on safety projects. Those projects will have measurable outcomes in communities. They will save lives. One challenge is if you're contemplating a project locally, there's no place to go to find comparable projects, a similar project on a similar type of roadway. And we envision the opportunity to build tools that could pull on comparable projects from around the country, tapping into the creativity and ingenuity and fantastic work that's enabled by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, and feeding that into the future generation of safety projects that will be deployed. This type of tool will inspire both the planning process, but will also root community engagement in real-life observed impacts of safety on communities. And we think these elements and the apps that I described and the many countless apps that we could build on top of the infrastructure observatory would create a flywheel that allows us to accelerate our progress and innovation as we all seek together to achieve our ambitious roadway safety goals. Thank you.